I created a combo tier list for this busted Gengar build, and after watching, you'll know 4 different ways to steal ZAPDOS. That includes the best combo, which I don't think you're doing right. Welcome to Hito99U, where it's my job to bring you to the 99th percentile. You already know that's Masters in Pokemon Unite. And today, we are getting analytical on this tier list of all the crazy combos of Gengar's Shadow Ball Dream Eater build. I've done the detailed math, so you don't have to, and we'll be building this tier list based off my winning formula. What has the most damage, the fastest execution, and most importantly, fits the situation. As a 3-time master, sometimes there's more to a combo than what looks best on paper. This build is great at one-shotting enemy carries and stealing all the important objectives on the map. I want you to run this build in jungle because I'm going to be covering 4 key fights every jungler encounters during the game. This includes bees, Dreadnaught, and of course, ZAPDOS. As I go through these tier lists, I will break down the exact damage every combo does, the exact percentages to use these combos, how all these moves work together, and the tips and tricks you can do to use them on your climb to Masters so that you can steal all the last hits and the key fights along the way. So with that said, let's get into it, starting with the items. So here's the items. We're gonna be running Choice Specs, Focus Band, and Score Shield. The reason I like this setup is that Gengar just needs about 1 offensive item to get you to that safe spot where you can be one-shotting enemy carries. And that's really your role on the team. You either want to be getting in like a sniper, knocking out that enemy Cinderace, Greninja, Sylveon, Venusaur, those type of targets, and then getting out. You're not the type of person to just go in there and stay for the long fight. Likewise, when you get into those Drednaw and ZAPDOS fights, you just got 1 combo to knock them out, and this gives you enough damage to be competitive with some of the best of them. So you don't really need too many more offensive items, although I will say triple glasses is a really fun build for normals maybe, if you just want to do crazy damage. But all that really affords you is the ability to knock out like Blastoise, Crustle, and do more damage to them. And that's not really your role when you're playing a competitive game. So let's focus on the things you do well, and you don't need to add more damage. You already got enough with just Choice Specs to knock out those enemy carries. Most special attackers do not have good scalers, and that's why Wise Glasses is usually not as good as Choice Specs, and the same kind of goes for the special attack specs. Of course, when you get them stacked up to 6 stacks, they're very strong, but because each point of special attack isn't giving you the craziest amount of scaling, that's why Choice Specs usually comes out ahead. Gengar might be the exception to this because he does have some great scaling on a few of his moves, but for the most of the game, you'll be happy with Choice Specs. It reigns supreme, and that's why I have it as our 1 offensive item. Next up is Focus Band. This is really good because Gengar actually is a melee character. Don't forget that. And you are not that tanky, and you will be getting into the thick of these fights. So you need that survivability to pull off maybe that second combo that will secure you the kill, or stay alive to get off another round of cooldowns. Every time you get another round of cooldowns off on Gengar, someone's in danger because your moves will one-shot people. And last but not least is Score Shield. I talk about this in almost every video and almost recommend it for every Pokemon because the truth is it's just that good. With Gengar, you have 1v1 capabilities, so at any point in the mid game, you can just go run off and try to score. In your early game, again, I want you to jungle. With Score Shield, this helps make it easier to get scores in, of course to win, that's important, but more importantly to get more experience. You might have a situation where you show up at bees, start fighting them, don't do a full team wipe or gank or anything, but you have points to turn in, and you can't get those without Score Shield because you'll start getting hit. And we already talked about this a few times, but we're going to be going Shadow Ball and Dream Eater. You are a sniper on the team. Don't forget that. Don't run around like a maniac. You are sort of frail a little bit, but you have one-shot power, so you want to come from the shadows, you want to come from weird angles, and just adopt that mindset of a sniper. That's how you kind of want to play this out in team fights. Okay, so with all that said, let's jump into the first tier list. All right, so here's the tier list. Okay, so here's the tier list, and I'm gonna go over those rules again about how I'm ranking these things. It's gonna be the highest damage, that's self-explanatory. The fastest execution, that actually means how fast the combo is, frame to frame timing, damage to damage. What the heck does that mean? Let's take something like auto attack that I have down here. So I'm measuring how long it takes in frames for the first auto attack to hit and then the second auto attack to hit. I'm not doing startup frames, I'm not doing ending frames, I'm doing damage to damage. And that's important because I want these things to be under 400 milliseconds. The reason is that a combo needs to be fast. And if it's at least this fast, it's hard for your opponent to weave an auto attack in between your combo and, you know, steal your last hit. It's not a combo unless it's fast. And the last criteria I'm using when I'm ranking these is like the eye test. Does it actually make sense to use this combo in the situation? We'll be talking about that as we go into each one. So you'll see I have right at the bottom, too slow or too weak. That means that either the combos above that I have unranked are just superior in every way, or they didn't pass that 400 millisecond frame timing, like auto attack into auto attack or auto attack into boosted auto. These are really slow. You'll probably notice that. Like if you just try to start auto attacking a minion and try to get last hits, you can't count on getting 2 autos off in a row without your opponent weaving in an attack. What I was talking about earlier, that's why these are unreliable, too slow, too weak. We're not even going to be talking about them. And that's a lot of your combos, to be honest. So I've weeded that out for you, which gets us into the meat and potatoes. Now, keep in mind the controls here are that we are going to be assuming we're level 5 after clearing our early jungle route, and we are going to be looking at 850 on the game clock, where the first fight here is centered around bees. There's 3 comb bees that spawn and 1 Vespa Queen that spawns. So with that, we'll start talking about the tiers, and I have first up here is Lick into Shadow Ball. So this one is going to be our first C tier, kind of at the bottom. The reason is it's actually very slow. 733 milliseconds, 44 frames. For me, this technically is above the 400 milliseconds I said earlier. Would normally be in the too slow tier, but because Lick has that displacement, you know, blitzcrank pull ability that can kind of trick your opponent, I allow for that extra buffer time because you can get tricky with this and it ends up being, in reality, a pretty decent combo. This is why I always talk about that third part. Does it pass the eye test? And sometimes, like, you pull a enemy into the bush or you just pull it out of the range of the opponents and you can steal the last hit for free. You got to keep this as a situational tool that normally it's going to be C tier, but if it's the right situation, it's honestly a little higher. So just keep this one in your back pocket. Not your first option, though. So next is Shadow Ball into Lick. The funny things about these combos is that the frame timing is going to actually be different depending on the order you do the combo. So these are not the same, even though they're the same moves. The order's important. And for this, I'm going to actually still put this in C tier. And now, I also mentioned, normally the damage is the same, but Shadow Ball lowers the defense of the target you're hitting. So for this move, Shadow Ball is going to boost this second Lick, and that's why I'm going to put this above. It does more damage, but not only that, this is much faster. This one comes in at 333 milliseconds or 20 frames. That's like more than twice as fast as the other combo. So this is something that you can use if you want to do a big burst of damage and try to hit one target. The thing I don't like about this combo is that Shadow Ball will hit multiple targets, Lick hits one. Remember, we're doing Comb Bees and the Vespa Queen, so if you're like trying to get all of them with the Shadow Ball, but then you're relying on this damage amount I'm going to give you to hit the last hit, you got to remember Lick's only hitting one, so it's just like an awkward combo to use. It's something good to use on just the Vespa Queen if they're up. Keep this in mind as one of your better combos, but that's why it's not higher on the list, because with Gengar, you can try to get most of the bees and Comb Bees if you play it right. All right, so next is Shadow Ball into Boosted Auto. I'm going to put this in A tier, 2 tiers above the other two, and the reason is both of these moves are AoE, and this is kind of your best option if you're just trying to burn those things down, you're in melee range, and you're comfortable being there, because this does like the most AoE damage to hit all the Comb Bees and the Vespa Queen. Now, Gengar, you have to remember, Assassin Sniper, you don't want to be in the mix because you'll probably be losing to the enemy jungler and the enemy team at this level 5. You're not at your full power spike yet, and that's why this isn't the S tier combo. I only put this at A because you want to use this when it's uncontested, or maybe your teammates in the lane are just destroying the enemy and you have that ability to just do as much damage as possible and get these as quick as possible. That's when you use this combo. But if it's like an even fight, you don't really want to be getting up melee in the mix using your boosted this way. So that leaves us with Shadow Ball, which is really your S tier combo. The versatility of having a ranged move that hits this hard, that goes through wild Pokemon, is so good. And don't forget, it actually stops when it hits enemy Pokemon. So like if you hit like an enemy Zera or an enemy Lucario, an enemy Venusaur in the lane, it's not going to go through them for the wild Pokemon. So it goes through wild Pokemon, doesn't go through enemy player control Pokemon. Keep that in mind. But yeah, Shadow Ball's versatility makes it S tier because you kind of want to be waiting out there in the bushes from range and just looking for what you want to grab. If you get all 3 Combees, that's more experience than just the 1 Vespiquen, but it's harder to do that reliably. So I always say just go for the Vespiquen and try to hit this percent, and make sure you don't get blocked by an enemy Pokemon. Okay, so the next big fight we have in the tier list we're going to be working on is another round of bees, but it happens at 7:20 on the game clock. So in between all this time, I want you to go back and farm your jungle because it respawns. Hopefully you did well in the first round of bees and you could score with that score shield. And you want to be coming into this usually at like level 7. Again, I've already weeded out all the bad moves that are too slow, too weak. So we're looking at first up as Shadow Ball Dream Eater. And it's funny I put this first because now we're going to be starting from the top. This is your S tier combo. It does so much damage. There's almost no way anyone's going to steal out a Vespiquen from you if you tag them with this combo, but there's a way you want to be using this. Now I have it listed as Shadow Ball Dream Eater, but Dream Eater, the way it works is that you have to tag them with the skill shot first, and then you press it again to activate and jump on the target doing the damage. The first part of the skill shot does no damage, only the second part. So the trick to this combo is actually to shoot the Dream Eater first on your target. It stays up for like a lot of time, and then as you get close to the smiting percentage that I show here, you're gonna hit Shadow Ball Dream Eater. And this combo is so fast, especially if you're at maxed range. The timing just works out that the Shadow Ball hits like the moment you land on the Dream Eater. It's a 4-framer. That is so fast, just take my word for it. I've done a lot of these videos on a lot of other Pokemon, and let me just tell you, 4 frames, that's blazing fast. And this damage is insane. And I don't want to repeat myself too much, so the rest of the stuff is going to look familiar here because it's still bees. If you just have Shadow Ball up, maybe Dream Eater, you want to save it for something else or it's off cooldown. Shadow Ball, I'm still putting S tier because it's just that good. You snipe from long range. Everything I said before is still in play here. Still an S tier move. Next we have Shadow Ball Boosted. For the same reason, I'm going to put it in B. If you're all alone, still your best AoE damage combo, and you use it as such, but it's still scary to get in the mix that close as Gengar, so I wouldn't use it if it's a full contested fight. And the last 2 are actually C tier for us, which is Dream Eater into Boosted Auto, and then just Dream Eater alone. Now these do pretty good damage, but Dream Eater again is a little finicky. Like I said, you have to do the first press and then the second press, and these timings are not as fast, the timing window. So I like to use these as a last option, maybe just for the Vespiquen, but otherwise I would be looking for the better combos. And yo, let me tell you, this is hard to do. I have to work so many hours in Excel, hundreds of test masters to get this information for you. So please like the video if this is helping you, because that keeps me doing this. And sub if you want to see me cover the other Gengar build or other Pokemon in the future. Last, comment down below if you don't like something I placed in the combo tiers, or you have another combo maybe I missed here, but I probably didn't. So we're on the 3rd tier list. This one's for Dread. Everything's getting knocked out now. Remember how I was talking about what constitutes being fast execution? Well, it was 400 milliseconds before. When you get to Dreadnaught, I want something that's almost instant, because now you have 10 people hitting the same target, and there's so much damage going in between your combos that 400 milliseconds is not reliable anymore. So a lot of these just get knocked out because of their speed, but I'm just gonna start with number 1. I already teased it before. We have Shadow Ball Dream Eater, 4-framer. This is fast enough to trick your opponents. They won't weave the attacks in, and it does so much damage. This is actually so good at stealing Dread, and I don't think a lot of people are talking about how good Gengar's combo here is for stealing these big objectives. Again, you have to do it the right way. You tag it with the Dream Eater first. You have a lot of time to walk around, wait for this percent I show you, and then hit Shadow Ball Dream Eater. And you kind of want to do this at max range because that keeps the framing time tighter. It makes it so that the Shadow Ball is traveling in the air as you jump in for the Dream Eater. The closer you are, the more slow your combo damage to damage timing is going to be, and that gives your opponents a better chance to weave in autos. That's bad. You want your combo to be tight, almost like it's hitting at the same time. So this is your S tier combo. And for the next 2, we have Shadow Ball and Dream Eater. And to be honest, these aren't too bad on their own either. I mean, I'm going to throw these both in A, with at this point Shadow Ball being a little bit more reliable. But you got to remember, the enemy, if they're smart, they might be trying to body block your hits. So you might have to do like tricky flash and then hit the Shadow Ball, or tag the Dream Eater and then they don't even think that you have it on it, and then you just hit the second press to do the damage and steal it from far away. These are really good at stealing too. Don't discount them on their own in case you have something else on cooldown. And just look for these percents, and then you can get that Drednaw at 7 minutes on the game clock. All right, and we're up to the big kahuna. Fast forward to 2 minutes on the game clock when everyone's gonna be looking to fight Zap, and you're one of the best people to steal it. I'm gonna knock these two out real quick. We have Shadow Ball and Dream Eater. I'm going to put, actually they're B tier. And at this point, Dream Eater does more damage, so I'm gonna put it slightly ahead. But these are so good on their own of stealing Zap. As long as you don't get body blocked, they do great amount of damage, very competitive with others, and they're only your B tier option. Let's talk about your Unite move, which, if you don't know, makes you invisible. And then on the second activation, you pop up and do a bunch of damage. Now, this technically doesn't do as much damage as the Dream Eater, but you're invisible. They might not even know you're there, and it lasts a long time. You can just kind of sit out, chilling right on top of Zap, and then as soon as you see the percentage, pop out and steal it. This might even have a case to be S, but for now I'm going to put it on A because you already know this Shadow Ball Dream Eater build, the one I talked about before, look at the damage on this thing. It is so high. That is higher than some of the better snipers, Cinderace, Lucario. If you do this right, you're getting it. And this is one of those combos that works really well if everyone's there and your team's helping you, because you can kind of back up, find that angle to not get body blocked, and just pull off this combo. It's still 4 frames, so blazing fast, and you'll steal ZAPDOS, win the game, be a hero. And that covers it. You should be winning your games now. You know how to steal the big objectives. You already know if you just get ZAPDOS, the game's over. You got one of the best Pokemon in the game to do it. And hey, if you appreciated this, all the work I did in Excel to get this information for you, these exact percentages, weeding out all these combos, figuring out the frame timing, oh, so many tedious things, but I do it for you guys. So if you'd like this, please like the video. Again, sub if you want to see your Pokemon next. I'm going to tease a little bit about who I think I'm going to work on next at the end of this video, and comment down below if you want to see anything different in the way I'm presenting this video, or maybe check out one of these videos if I've already done one of your Pokemon that you want to see. For every one of these videos, I have an accompanying Reddit post where I post the data and those cheat sheet percentages you see. It's an infographic I post. You can check that out in the link down below. Keep on that grind, Masters. Class is dismissed.